This video is not intended to be a derogatory condemnation of any one of the NRA's nearly 4 million members or on the NRA itself. Over the years, the NRA has made a positive contribution by getting many people involved in the political process, educating the public on the responsible and safe use of firearms, and keeping its members abreast of new firearms bills that levied repeated attacks on Second Amendment rights. The intention here is to raise questions and inform NRA members and the general public that there is an active compromise fast at work within the NRA organization that, while on the one hand claims to champion the cause of Second Amendment rights, the other hand seeks for whatever reason to relinquish those same rights. So whether you are an NRA member or not, this video seeks only to present the truth. You alone will make the final decision on what you'll do with that truth, but you must separate facts from any emotional attachment you may have to an organization or a system of thought that doesn't measure up to the truth. The springboard of this video is the Second Amendment, period. It says what it says, and it means what it says. There is no president, Supreme Court justice, or princely edict which can overrule the meaning of the plain text of the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, and the Second Amendment itself. As Justice Robert H. Jackson has said, the very purpose of the Bill of Rights was to withdraw certain subjects from the vicissitudes of political controversy, to place them beyond the reach of majorities and officials, to establish them as legal principles to be applied by the courts. One's right to life, liberty, and property, to free speech, a free press, freedom of worship and assembly, and other fundamental rights may not be subject or submitted to vote. They depend on the outcome of no elections. The Second Amendment simply says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There is no age, race, or socioeconomic classification or limitation given. There is no gun type or model or magazine restriction. It simply says that we, the people, have a right to keep and bear arms. Recently, people in mainstream media have said, well, there were no high-capacity magazines or assault rifles back then. Granted, but there is actually an amendment that deals with whatever rights the people may have that weren't listed in the Bill of Rights. It is the Ninth Amendment, which says, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed, that is, interpreted, to deny or disparage others, that's other rights retained by the people. What this means is, hey, if we forgot to mention it or couldn't include it because certain technology didn't exist during its drafting, it doesn't mean the people don't have the right to possess it. So if you want a fully functional military tank in your front yard and one for your backyard and a couple of surface-to-air missiles and you can afford to purchase them, there is nothing, according to the Bill of Rights, that can legally infringe, impede, disparage, or deny you from having these arms. The people, remember, have the right to keep and bear arms. There's no specifications on what arms they are allowed to keep. According to the Second Amendment, the establishment of gun control laws and gun-free zones is an infringement on your right to keep and bear arms and is, by constitutional definition, illegal. But what is the NRA's expressed view of gun-free and therefore constitutionally illegal zones? In a recent video denouncing Barack Obama's apparent hypocrisy in insisting that guns play a part in protecting his own children, while gun-free zones keep guns from protecting ours, the NRA says this.
Are the president's kids more important than yours? Then why is he skeptical about putting armed security in our schools when his kids are protected by armed guards at their school? Mr. Obama demands the wealthy pay their fair share of taxes, but he's just another elitist hypocrite when it comes to a fair share of security. Protection for their kids and gun-free zones for ours.
Aside from the expense and ineffectiveness of having armed guards in schools, as this video suggests, when really it's arming and therefore empowering principals, teachers, and faculty who, with a weapon, could more effectively and efficiently deal with an armed madman, but we'll save that for another time. This ad, and the one found on the NRA website, gives the impression that the NRA is against the idea of gun-free zones, and that would be good. However, in May of 1999, in front of the NRA annual meeting, NRA's Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre said this.
First, we believe in absolutely gun-free, zero-tolerance, totally safe schools. That means no guns in America's schools, period, with the rare exception of law enforcement officers or trained security personnel.
So LaPierre said,
we believe in absolutely gun-free, zero-tolerance, totally safe schools.
This sounds nice, but exists only in the minds of those who prefer to dwell in the land of make-believe and seek to implement fantasy laws to real-life situations. Quote, gun-free zones, these zero-tolerance, totally safe school zones, ensure that guns will only exist in the hands of those who intend to do harm to others. Therefore, a gun-free zone sign is a flashing welcome sign to the criminally minded. And just as flipping on a light switch draws every moth in the neighborhood, a gun-free zone sign serves as an open invitation for criminals to have their way with that establishment's unarmed, vulnerable, law-abiding victims. In addition to promoting gun-free zones, LaPierre praises men like NRA member and anti-gun advocate Senator Harry Reid.
You know, we're usually fighting alongside Senator Reid back in Washington, D.C. for Second Amendment freedom, and I'll tell you, he's a true champion of the Second Amendment back in Washington, D.C. on the national level.
How does one fight alongside a person for Second Amendment freedom when that same person is actively fighting against Second Amendment freedoms? Obviously, Nevada Senator Harry Reid is anti-Second Amendment. But why is the NRA pro-Harry Reid? Can the NRA continue to compromise on such a grand level without damaging our ability to maintain our rights? If you found this video to be intellectually beneficial, challenging, or interesting, please favorite, like, thumbs up, subscribe, and share with others on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media outlets. Also, whether you agree or disagree, leave your comments below. I like to hear what people are thinking in regard to this subject, and also welcome any correction you might have. Thanks for watching.